So now let's talk about attachment. This theme is all about the importance of parent-child relationships. You can think about this theme in two parts. The first is understanding how attachment works and why it's important. And the second is how to ideally be in relationships with children who have experienced separations, loss, and trauma. This theme really wants to focus on what attachment looks like in real life. So we show videos and we give case examples. And while we do talk about theories sometimes, we really try to stay pretty concrete for most of the class so that participants can focus on what daily parenting looks like when they're thinking about attachment. We really want you to place this theme early in your sequence of themes so that you can use the importance of relationship as both a frame and a foundation for the rest of the content. And the primary reason why parents really need this theme if they're going to be fostering or adopting is because the interpersonal hurt that children have experienced needs interpersonal repair. And what I mean by that is that the healing needs to happen through relationships. And that's why they need strong, attuned parents day in and day out. Now we're going to talk about the nuts and bolts of the theme. First, we set the stage with the cycle of attachment to show that all people have the need to attach securely. But children who've experienced separations, loss, and trauma have a disruption in their cycle. So it's important for participants to build this understanding because it significantly impacts children's ability to trust in what they expect from others. We'll briefly review the styles of children's attachment using case examples and video clips from a documentary to illustrate what the styles look like. And then we'll start participants thinking about how to parent children with these insecure styles of attachment. Parent styles of attachment are also mentioned, and there's a video and a handout on this to increase parental self-awareness, but we're not going to spend a lot of time here. So then we'll focus on parenting for the rest of the theme, starting with a discussion on the 4 S's of relationship-focused parenting, which are seen, safe, soothed, and secure. And those are a spin-off of Dr. Dan Siegel's work. The 4 S's simplify and reinforce what children need to feel connected to and understood by their parents. In this section, we'll watch a video clip of a father doing a beautiful job of this with his son, just so we can see the 4 S's in action. It's important to get participants moving to increase attention and help them to digest the material, especially in these longer themes. So an activity will come next to have participants think of relationship-promoting activities that they can do with their children. The last section of the class is spent delving into relationship-focused discipline, as it's often a critical point of confusion for parents later. The analogy of the jar will be introduced to build in the strategies of joining, amends-making, and redos. So you'll play a video next to clearly spell out this concept and then practice with an activity to develop these 3 skills. So here's the key takeaways from this theme. Children who've experienced separations, loss, and trauma didn't get their attachment needs met, and understanding the effects of this is core to parenting them. That's why it's a foundational theme in the NTDC. Children need parents who foster or adopt them to be regularly attuned to their needs. Healing disrupted attachments happens through strong relationships, and especially the parent-child relationships. These relationships are strengthened every day through daily experiences together, not through talking. Relationships always need to come first to help children heal, even or especially when children have done something wrong. In this theme, we invite participants to reflect on their own attachment histories and how they might impact the way that they parent, especially when certain children are struggling and that gets tapped. This may not be comfortable for all participants, so they might need your support to make the connection as to how and why. So let's talk about some strategies to maximize your participants' learning in places where you might stumble. The first is the attachment styles. Be clear that these are patterns that have been created in our brains and bodies, but they're not locked in. And that's actually where our participants are going to come in later when they're parenting. Make sure you're linking the patterns to feelings and behaviors so participants can see how the concept is linked to the relationship. Acknowledge that parenting children with insecure styles of attachment can be draining, and remind participants of the importance of self-care. And instill hope. Creating new experiences in families is an opportunity to create new patterns for children. Okay, and the relationship promoting activity. This is importantly placed to break up all the talking and sitting in the first half of the class. So you might choose to amend it slightly, but make sure you use it for this purpose, even if you're doing this class remotely. It's a really long theme, and so this is a really practical way to get people up and moving and stretching so that we can get their brains turned on, and then it's also to have a little bit of fun. So keep this activity light and playful and moving. We don't want our participants to feel like there's right and wrong answers in this curriculum or in this activity. We just want them to come away understanding the concept. And the concept is daily experiences matter, and the more that movement and senses are involved, the better. So help them to understand why by doing it themselves in this activity. This exercise is perfect for modeling what we're going for with kids. So hone in on parent-child togetherness as you discuss these activities. Be clear that pleasurable experiences and joy are critical for all children to experience, especially when they're healing and even when they do something wrong, and especially when they do something wrong. Take care to acknowledge, though, that what seems pleasurable for some kids might also have the potential to be triggering for others. Okay, the JAR concept for discipline is going to be new for everyone. So this is another area to be mindful of. Be sure you leave enough time for the video and also enough time to practice. So participants will not be able to solidify the concept without the practice. The JAR concept is to be used when a child is calm, though. The trauma themes are going to cover how to help a child get calm. Another thing that's unique about JAR is the community support that the JAR is going to draw out, and that's particularly in the A, which is the amends making. So slow down in the JAR activity and be sure participants are starting to understand the concept as you move into the activity. And then as the facilitator, circulate among the participants as they're working on the activity to make sure they're getting it, leaving good processing time after the activity to make sure that they've got it and that they're on track with what we mean by the J and the A and the R. So I really hope you enjoy facilitating this theme. It's one of my favorites because it's so foundational. In this class, we have the opportunity to build relationships with our participants the way that we hope for them to build relationships with the kids later. So we're modeling how to be consistent and curious and kind and playful. And once they internalize this from the way that you're sharing it with them, then they can do that later with children, because everything starts and ends with relationships.